Hi guys, I'm Erica of Erica's Joyful Oven, and today we're making delicious currant roll. These are so light, buttery and crisp. So let's get started. To a mixing bowl, add 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Mix these ingredients together until it's a fine cornmeal texture. The oil is going to prevent the flour from absorbing the butter when it's added, and it's going to keep your crust crisp for several days. Once the mixture has no lumps, we're now going to add in 1 cup of unsalted butter. It is important that the butter is cold, and cutting into cubes helps to mix it easier without overworking the dough. At this stage, we definitely don't want a cornmeal texture. We want big chunks of butter that's going to create a beautiful flaky pastry. Next, I'll add 3/4 cups of ice cold water and 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and I'm going to lightly knead this just until it comes together. So we definitely don't want to over knead this dough because we want to maintain those chunks of butter in the dough. Turn the mixture into a very lightly floured surface, and we're going to begin forming those layers. Using your hands and not a rolling pin, gently press the dough into a rectangular shape and fold it in half. And I'm going to repeat this process maybe 5 times, and this is going to give me the perfect layers for the currant roll. You definitely want to work quickly with this dough, and if at any point you find the dough is becoming too soft, wrap it in a plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge for 5 minutes before you continue to fold. Also notice that I'm not adding a lot of dried flour as I'm working because this dough is so rich and buttery, it really is not necessary. After 5 folds, wrap the dough tightly in plastic wrap, and this is going to be refrigerated for at least 2 hours or until the dough is nice and firm. While the pastry dough is chilling, I'm going to add 3 cups of currants to a mixing bowl, together with 1/4 cup of white sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Mix these ingredients together until the currants are well coated with the cinnamon and nutmeg, and set this aside until the pastry dough is ready. Once the pastry dough is nice and chilled, add it to a lightly floured work surface, and instead of rolling, initially I'm going to pound the pastry dough out, and this is going to help give me an even roll. And now I begin to roll the dough to a rectangular shape. The dough is very delicate, but because of all of that butter, I'm only needing a light dusting of flour, and it's not going to stick to the surface. Once the dough reaches a 1/4 inch in thickness, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of softened butter and gently rub this on the surface of the dough. This is going to keep the dough nice and moist and also help the currants to stick in there. And now we can add that delicious currants mixture on top of the pastry dough. Because the sugar has settled, I'm going to use my hands and evenly spread a layer of currants on top of the dough, and then spread an even layer of sugar on top of the currants. And now, starting at the long end, we can begin to fold or roll this to create a log. And at the first fold, I'm gently going to press the dough into the currants, and this is going to give me a tight grip as I roll. And because of the richness of this dough, I'm not going to pull as I roll it over. I'm just going to very gently press the dough in to give me a tight roll. When you've finished rolling the dough, we're going to keep the seam side down and very gently press in on both ends of the dough to create a seal. You could also prepare the pastry dough and the filling at night, and so in the morning it's simply to assemble and bake, and you have warm currant roll for breakfast. Place your roll onto a lightly greased baking tray, and now we're going to brush the top with an egg wash. The egg wash is 1 egg mixed with 2 tablespoons of water. This is going to promote an even browning and a rich golden color on top of the crust. For an egg-free version, you could also brush the top of this with some melted butter, and it's going to be just as perfect. Bake this in a preheated oven at 375 degrees for 30 minutes, then lower the heat to 350 degrees and bake for another 20 minutes. This is going to make your house smell so heavenly as it bakes. Here is the currant roll fresh from the oven. It smells so heavenly. You guys need to try this recipe. I'm going to let it cool for 10 minutes before I can slice in. Here's our currant roll slices. They are amazing. You guys are going to love this one. You can see the exterior is crisp, and because of the dough that we've used, this is not going to absorb any moisture from the currants. It's going to stay fresh for several days. The exterior of this is so flaky and crisp, but the interior is buttery and filled with our delicious currants. The cinnamon and nutmeg definitely stand out. You guys definitely need to try this recipe. Let me know in the comments if you do, what you think, and be sure to like and subscribe to Erica's Joyful Oven for more amazing recipes.